it's nice to see you. We'll wait for a few people to get in while I drink my soda. A great message at church. I just received the text message from Turkey Man, so I'll be watching that service, and then I'll be uploading that service to our YouTube post. So if you guys would like to go over and check out Turkey Man's sermon, that'd be great. Me and you, good afternoon, Dawn. It's nice to see you. Happy Sunday. Many of you guys know that today is the International Missing Children's Awareness Day, and we're covering several different cases throughout the day. We started off this morning with Lily and Jack Sullivan, and now we're here with Sebastian Rogers. And there will be a few other ones. I haven't decided. I've got several of them to choose from. I haven't decided which other ones I'm going to cover today or not. But I am going to try to be very selective, and it's going to be the ones that we've covered first, and then we're going to get to other ones that we have not covered. SRK, it's nice to see you. Deanna, Melanie, Kathleen, Peggy, Erna, Show Poodles, Phil, Crystal Pistol, Linda, it's nice to see you. Janice, Patty, Lisa B. Always, West Virginia Holler Girl, Pink Butterfly, Sonia, it's nice to see you. Sue Brewer, Barbosa, nice to see you, my love. I hope you're doing well. Pamela, 11 months. Thanks for the love and support. Sabrina says Summer Wells, absolutely, is one on the top of my mind. It's nice to see you all. Thank you, Pamela. Pamela gifted 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships. So for the ones that received your gifted Bullhorn Betty membership, don't forget to tell Pamela thank you. And welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Grab your straight jacket and your padded room. Welcome aboard. It's going to be a bumpy ride. We have the Real Me Too, Sheila, Lorraine. It's nice to see you. Who else do we have? Canadian True Crime. It's nice to see you. Still Waters, Tracy. Good afternoon, y'all. Good afternoon. So I won't take too much of your time. I know there's going to probably be a lot of people out there today advocating for their missing person. So Sebastian Rogers has been missing from his home since, in my opinion, February 25th. That's the last third-party sighting of Sebastian that we know of. 2024. It's been well over a year since he disappeared. He was reported missing on February 26, 2024. He was 15 years old, and he has since turned 16. He is high-functioning autistic and has a chromosome deletion syndrome as well, which actually, from my understanding, may have prevented the autism diagnosis being realized until much later, because it sounds like he wasn't officially diagnosed with autism, but for a couple years ago, possibly, potentially. But he hasn't been seen, and everything that we've heard, we've really tried to analyze this case from all different backgrounds, all different perspectives, different theories, a different speculation. We always look for the facts. I've done a trip out there looking for any information that can help locate where he may be, or any information that may be derived from the information that we found. We did learn a few things. Concrete things that were unknown, or were misinformed or intentionally disinformed to us. And that was the 5:15 arrival time at the job site. We knew by the time we left Memphis, Tennessee, that was absolutely, without a doubt, not true. But if we go back, it was never Chris that said that out of his mouth. Now, he may have told people that were looking into the case, but if you go back to any interview that he has done, any type of screenshot that was ever provided to us, not one time has he ever acknowledged being at work at 5:15. That came from a lady by the name of Heather that used to work for Seth Rogers, the father of Dad. to Sebastian, and that's how that all got out there. Now, I do know that it did come from Chris. From my understanding, the information did come from Chris, but it came from Chris in a very private setting. So this whole 515 has never been anything he's ever told anybody publicly. So I'm curious to find out what time he says he showed up to work, because I don't think it was ever him. And if it was, I'm going to ask you guys to please send me that information to bullhornbetty@gmail.com, bullhornbetty@gmail.com, because I don't think he ever said that. And I don't know who's been pushing that narrative, but I went back and analyzed this case multiple times from the beginning to the end. And we're not talking about one time through, two times through. We're talking about at least a dozen times have we went back to the beginning of this case and reviewed it, and reviewed statements that were stated by Chris, Katie, and Seth. So when I say I've never heard him ever address what time he got to work, I truly mean that. So I'm curious about that. However, there's been a lot going on. So here's this Justice for Sebastian Rogers group, Sebastian's Army. And I've been reviewing some of the things that have been posted in this Facebook group. If you guys have not gone and joined up, please go over there and join up. We already have 4,000 members in this group. And here's one of the curious statements that were stated, and it does make you question this. You know, we are trying to find out what happened, why we're not further along in this particular case than other cases. It's the International Missing Children's Day, and so we're going to be debuting several children. And most of us have been with this case at a very recent time in this case development. Seth's electronics were seized from day one. The Proudfoot's electronic phones, Apple Watches, PlayStations, Switch, etc. were not seized for at least 2 weeks. What? This is where Sebastian lived and vanished from. Incompetence. And while I don't remember, at what point in time whose stuff got taken, but I do know that we were talking heavily on the fact that Seth's electronics never were returned to him, while Chris and Katie were bragging about having their stuff returned to them right away. One of the, I think, problems I have with Sumner County is this: they blame everybody else, and it has to be proven everything else is not real before they'll actually focus on the most obvious situation, in my opinion. For example, I truly believe that they believe Chris and Katie. I think that they were side-eyeing Seth as being the person responsible. If there was anything going on, it couldn't be couldn't be Chris and Katie. I truly believe that's why his stuff was gone through, while he was side-eye, why they stopped conversation with him, is because they were believing the BS that Chris and Katie were blowing up their skirt. I truly believe that. And in part, maybe not totally, but in part, I believe it. Because their behavior believes it. Or their behavior shows it. Just like this. If this is true and their items weren't taken from them for 2 weeks and Seth's stuff was taken from him on day one, what does that tell you? What does that tell you? Hey, Primrose, it's nice to see you, love. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, they're protecting the Proud, but it seems, because think about it. If we go back to those earlier days when we were covering the case, what was our biggest concern? And they would never address it. Remember all the rumors about how the Bowersox and the Proudfoots had all of these families in all of these different branches of law enforcement or some type of government job, and everybody was concerned about a family member of Chris's being at Sumner County working the case. Remember that whole hoopla? Well, even though they denied it, and somebody even called there, and their response was the sheriff is not friends with the Proudfoots. That didn't answer the question, or something to that effect. I can't remember exactly what it was or who directly asked Sheriff Craddock about that, but it was something to that effect. Chris and Katie were using Sebastian's as scapegoat. He got blamed for everything. Is there snow or misleads everybody from the FBI to TBI? They think they got over on them, in my opinion. Correct. Yeah, Wild Wolf. But you know what? Since they were making their little victory laps, before the indictment results came in, they were making their victory laps days before that, and I've heard nothing but crickets since that happened. I'm not lying. I've heard absolutely nothing but crickets since the results. I figured they would be talking mad cash, So it's just it's a little crazy. And like this right here, I don't know. I just feel like this is more, I don't know, word salad? This is the statement that WKRN got. I was watching I don't know if it was Reels or if it was TikTok, but one of the ladies that I watch and she watches me was doing a clip on this, and we were all looking at the video clip that Seth interviewed with. Well, this right here was actually in the article that they printed, and this is basically allegedly from Sheriff Craddock's statement out of his office. First and foremost, our thoughts remain with Sebastian Rogers. I want to assure the community that I want to assure the community that this investigation remains a top priority for Sumner County, for the sheriff's office. But see, that even that, a top priority, they're saying it's a top priority, but what are they doing to really show that it's a top priority? Are they having additional searches? Are they providing additional information to the public? We know that they're a no body, no crime state. So what are they doing to advance the location of Sebastian Rogers is my question. We were aware of the community's concerns. So they're aware that the community has concerns of their absence, their failure to communicate, lack of results. Please know that behind the scenes, a tremendous amount of work has been done and will continue. What has been done? Where is it continued? What is going to continue? Because you can't find somebody sitting behind a blessed desk. That's my problem. There's been no additional searches, and he's out there somewhere. Do they think if they sit and look at their computer long enough, he's going to magically appear? I'm serious. Some aspects of the investigation are not visible to the public due to sensitive nature of the case. Some aspects, okay? Well, we haven't seen them at all in well over a year. So if only some aspects of the investigation are not visible to the public, why has the public felt left alone for an entire year? With literally zero communication and zero results. If you know something, no matter how small it may seem, please come forward. Every tip matters. The problem is in this same article, is where a father is saying he does not feel his son is getting the attention it deserves, that he's not getting the responses he needs when he turns over actual information or leads. So it's making it a little difficult, no? How are you supposed to turn in leads when nobody's taking the leads? Hey, Lisa, it's nice to see you, my love. It's nice to see you. Happy missing, I don't know if it's happy, but I get your point, Jamie. I mean, we're here at an International Missing Child's Day. Hopefully, we bring some avocation to some missing children. But just understand, this whole thing where everybody's jumping on board with stranger danger, stranger danger, stranger danger, it is literally the lowest probability in almost every single case we cover. I just want to point that out there. Statistically. And people always ask me all the time, why do you automatically assume? I don't automatically assume. Look at the Lily and Jack case. Look at the Sebastian case at the beginning. I didn't assume anything. I was praying to God it wasn't. I mean, I even said that. I hope this case is not turning the way it looks like it's turning. I said that multiple times in those first few beginning stages of evaluating and analyzing the case. New people, new police on the case. Yeah, they just need something, or get a, like this is the biggest case in this county's history, and they poo-pooed all over it. They know they poo-pooed all over it, and it seems like they got a cat, like they're a cat with a tail between their legs, running to go find a dark place to hide. I mean, think about it. Their behavior resembles much of Chris and Katie's behavior. All they do is run and hide unless they want to throw criticism at social media. Then they're all types of vocal. And then when it comes down to the actual brass tacks of who's doing what and if they're doing their job, it's crickets. It's crickets. I understand. I completely understand why Seth is so upset. I absolutely completely understand. I'd be upset too. I would be absolutely upset too. But this right here, in my opinion, honestly, this right here is, to me, is word salad. It's what I say is word salad. Seth only wants to know where his son is and what Mr. Snuggle Struggles is doing to find his son. And he won't say a peep. Nobody will tell Seth anything. Nobody will tell anybody anything. They won't even tell you what day it is or what time it is. What is the sensitive nature of the kid? Exactly. Right? Everybody's just wanting us to believe that this kid just walked off and, he's been out to a picnic for the last 15 months. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's very, very upsetting because we have a young boy out there somewhere, and I don't have high hopes of him being reunited with his dad in a very good condition, unless it's a familial abduction type of thing for custody reasons. But if Chris and Katie couldn't have afforded a center back in 2022 when they absolutely wanted them out of the house for some reason back in October of 2022, what makes everybody think that they magically came up with all this monthly money that they can pay for a facility for Sebastian to be at when they couldn't afford it a couple years ago? I mean, don't you think that right there, like $6,000-$7,000 a month, would be easy to trace by any I mean, not even good detective, but the worst, the crappiest, laziest detective in the world could probably follow, crumbs like that. It doesn't make sense. If they couldn't do it back in 2022, why do all these people want to convince us that this is what they did in 2024? I just don't believe it. I don't believe it. And this was something that I also seen on the Justice for Sebastian Facebook group. And it says, a letter to Seth. I never met you, and I'm so sorry for your pain that you have endured. My children are my best friends, and I couldn't imagine going through this. Luckily, their father lives in Ohio and hasn't cared about them since day one. But here you are, and I see your pain in your eyes. Seth, I, and of course, we the public, encourage you to fight for this. Get a lawyer to make sure there are more steps taken. I'll gladly help pay for it. And Seth, I know this is hard. Oh, sorry, something's in the way and I can't read that. I know this is hard to read, but I truly believe, and so does most of America, that your ex-wife Cathy and Chris Proudfoot are involved. You need to keep staying strong and fight. We are Sebastian's army, and we are your army. We love you, Sebastian. Sincerely, Kimberly Meeks. And in all fairness, I think there may be more on a civil front, but a lot of people don't realize those civil fronts cost tens of thousands of dollars. And what somebody may say, oh, we'll take care of when it's time to really pony up those dollars and cents, you'll find out that it's a little more difficult than you may think it is, right? And Seth will need money for that front, that venture. If he's going to go after them civilly, attorneys cost a lot of money, hundreds of dollars an hour. Most of us are lucky to be paid $20 an hour. These people make our salary, our weekly salary, in literally a couple hours. So, the last time Edgar was on C's Live, he said, we'd like people to believe that, i.e. that Sebastian might reappear when he's 18. Yeah, they're full of shit. They're just trying to buy time. Trust me, got one right now, $250 an hour. Yep. That is absolutely right. Okay, you need a lot of money in America. You need a lot. And trust me, it's ridiculously expensive here. I don't know. I don't know. If we just got rid of all the greedy politicians and the government and really just got back to policing, paying for our police and our infrastructure, we'd all be a lot richer and a lot happier Americans. But whatever. What do I know? What do I know? So I thought this was really cute and very heartfelt. However, I didn't think this was very heartfelt. I mean, it's been over. No, I can understand if they are producing something and they're working stuff, not wanting to say anything. But they haven't. We know how criminal cases go. Come on, y'all. We know that they didn't find the West Boys. We know it took them 14 months to build the case against Jacqueline and Trezell West. Right? And that's in the very liberal state of California. And for whatever reason, we can't get any better service here from somebody that's a law and order state that professes being this law and order state and tough on crime. Cut it out. And no additional searches whatsoever. I wonder how many targeted searches they did for Classic and Sincere. I bet you a heck of a lot more than 8 days. How about Quentin Simon? Heck of a lot more than 8 days. How about that young boy up in Two Rivers, Wisconsin? More than 8 days, months they were out there. Religiously, daily, weekly, they were out there. They were out there for months and months. Oh, almost a year. Can't remember if it was almost a year or right there at a year. Sebastian, 8 days. Layla Santinello, heck of a lot more than only 8 days in 15 months. Definitely a lot more. But, I mean, what do I know? Like I said, I understand Seth's pain. I understand why he's angry, and why he focused. If you noticed, he focused on searches. And I think the reason why he focused on searches is because he's looking at all these other true. He may not have paid attention to true crime before his son disappeared, but he's paying attention now. And he's seeing how all these cases go from one case to another case to another case to another case. And he's watching all these kids being searched for. And he's looking around in his case and just hearing crickets. He's seeing press conferences in these other cases. And he's hearing crickets in his case. He's watching all these other criminal cases of missing children and how those cases are being handled from state to state across this country. And he's looking at his own son's case and hearing crickets. That has got to change. So my call to action, is, what are your suggestions on how to advocate for Sebastian while kickstarting and getting law enforcement in gear to search for this boy that cannot be found without their expertise? I'm very interested on that. I mean, you guys can post your recommendations in here, but you guys know how hard it is for me to catch all these comments. So I'm also going to ask you, if you have something that you really think is going to be impactful, send it to bullhornbetty@gmail.com, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. I thought it was highly suspicious the moment I listened to CP saying it was a case to be studied for years. I know, that was so creepy. I still remember, because that was after we were already involved in it and they were going and bouncing. I remember hearing that, and I remember thinking, God, that gives me chills up my back. That gives me chills up my back. I remember that, and I remember it made its, those statements, a lot of his statements. We need to go back and get some of those statements. This case, those people, man, they're just trash. They're just trash. Their family's trash. They hang out with trash. Looking into this case 15 months later, to be honest with you, I'm surprised now that I know who Katie is, her lifestyle, who she is mentally, psychologically. I'm surprised that Sebastian lasted this long. Honestly, the lady's a mess. The lady's truly a freaking mess. I'd say Sebastian is wherever his parents got on that flight, or any type of camera footage of them on their trip to see if he's there. They should have had some type of targeted searches. That's all I'm saying. At this point, if the parents are even say Mississippi, what searches has law enforcement executed in freaking Mississippi? His camper was there. How long did it take them to send a unit out there to check his camper? Did they even? Like, this is, I could just literally layer the way. That's why law enforcement in this area hates me, is I could literally list every damn thing law enforcement failed to do, which ultimately failed Sebastian, which ultimately is failing his case. And these are all the things that they needed to do up front. It's all the recommendations from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children that they just thought was, optional, which it is. And now you see why you don't select the option. Gotta remember, the parachutes, they have an option too, right? Pull the cord if you don't want to go smush. You don't have to pull the cord. It is highly suggested you pull the cord. Just like it's very highly suggested that the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children is the gold standard for missing children. Angel, I'm just being honest. You can choose to go splat, right? It is just an option, and they quite frankly, That's exactly what happened to Sumner County. They went splat, right on their face, right in front of the public. If you guys go back to some of my earlier videos of this case, I already identified this lack of communication with the public was going to create this vacuum. I'm telling you, I do not have a crystal ball, but if you do not believe me, I'm not doing your homework. I'm not going to go grab the receipts. I know what I said out of my mouth. If you want to fact check me, go fact check it from the beginning. But I definitely know there are some people that have been with me for a really long time, since before this case, that can attest to me making those statements. And I said, I hope they have a public information officer. And then when I found out that they didn't have a public information officer, I'm like, we went on a whole darn tangent about how a public information officer is critical. It's not critical in your day-to-day cases. It's critical when you have a breaking news case, one of national importance. And it's not national importance, it's international importance. We got people all over the country, or all over the world in this chat right now. We got people from Canada, we got people from the UK, we got people from Australia, we got people from Ireland, you know? So I remember saying these things. I can't remember when I said. I remember when it was very, very early on when I got, because one of the things I do is analyze the case. You know, that basically talks about the good stuff and the bad stuff of the case, and that's the whole entire case, including the limitations of the law enforcement. You know, I analyze, what they're capable of financially and otherwise. So it's like, I don't know. It just seems like they poo-pooed on Sebastian. And you know what? They're all about this insider and outsider. Are you a resident of Sumner County? Well, Sebastian was a resident of Sumner County. And until they bring him home, he still is a resident of Sumner County. Where is their loyalty to Sebastian? It's insider outsider thing, right? Taxpayer, non-taxpayer thing to them. Well, Sebastian helped pay some taxes for that school. Him missing is taking money out of that school. Him missing is taking an exorbitant amount of money from that sheriff's department as well as the state attorney's office. Like I said, poor management all the way around. I see failures all the way around. And, and it's like that in every county, every city. I'm going to find failures in every county, every city. But this is rooted. This is intention. This is rooted. I'm sorry, it's rooted. This is how we've done things, how we've always done things. That's how we're going to continue to do things type of thing, That's the kind of nonsense you got. Well, they don't read the law clearly. Maybe if they read the law, they might be able to put the right type of criminals behind bars instead of the innocent ones. I'm just saying. I wasn't the only innocent person arrested there. Look at all those DUI people that have been arrested in Sumner County that weren't even drunk. That's poor training. Poor training. We need more money in Tennessee for law enforcement training, better pay, and get these hunky bunk sheriffs out of office and put people in the chair with some scruples on their head and not focused on power and greed and just focused on the citizens and policing. That's what I'd like for every community across this country. But Sumner County needs an extra dose. Just saying, an extra dose. All right, that's all I have. We're going to be in and out all day today, bringing up new cases, so I can't really keep an hour show every single one. Some of these might be 10, 15, 20-minute lives. Some of them may just be videos about the children or the person missing, but it's going to be focused on children today. We're going to be learning about children we've covered, learning about new children's faces that we haven't covered that probably need some more attention on them. I'm running missing children. If you see anything on my X account, you're seeing I'm posting missing children flyers out there. We're doing missing children flyers and other posts on our Facebook. We are putting our channels to work today to advocate for the missing children. And I am asking and hoping that other content creators, specifically in the true crime community, are doing the exact same. Some of them may cross paths where we're talking about the same exact cases, but other ones might be new faces where somebody can learn a little more about another missing face, another missing child that does need to be found. Maybe you can help. All right, guys. Thank you guys for all being here. Thank you for watching my content. Rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And please don't forget, we are still raising funds for an attorney. I still have an entire appeal that needs to be funded. And so if you guys would like to donate through Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, the GoFundMe, here through Super Chat, Super Stickers, or even after this ends through a Super Thanks, I greatly appreciate any and all love and support that you guys can offer. It's been a very long and drawn out, this should never have happened. Their own laws prevented what happened to me from happening to me, and it still didn't prevent it from happening to me. So we've got still an uphill battle, but I think at the end of all of this, we are going to be successful. We were already successful on the most important front of it all, and I'm absolutely 100% confident that we are going to be successful in the appeals as well. And then the ultimate, if it goes back to and if it does go back to general sessions, I absolutely believe that we will be successful again. Or otherwise, we'll go through the whole song and dance all over again. But by that time, it's going to be a moot point. I'm pretty confident we got this. So if you guys would like, you guys can do that. If not, I just appreciate you guys passing me around and coming and enjoying the show. So anyways, guys, you take care. God bless you. Rock it out with your coffee beans out, and we'll see you soon.